together. On behalf of Litquake, thank you all so much for coming out to Lit Crawl San Francisco. Tonight is the closing night of Litquake, San Francisco's literary festival, and we're in the midst of a virtual Lit Crawl, which is running from 10:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. with 25 events and featuring 7 cities around the world. This nonprofit festival is nearly 100% free, and it could not exist without the generosity of our individual donors. If you believe in keeping literature a key component of San Francisco's cultural landscape, please consider dropping us a few dollars. Every bit helps. We accept donations on Venmo at Litquake, on PayPal at info@litquake.org, and directly at litquake.org. After the event, you'll be asked to fill out a short survey. These surveys are essential to our efforts to keep Lit Crawl free, so please fill it out. Now, let's get started for our event. Here are your 4 awesome readers.
Hello, my name is Alan, and my 8-word bio is Shapeshifting Child of Maria, Belém, Inés, and Mountain. And I'll be reading a few poems for you. The first is titled Border Story, with words by J.R. Mahang. I want to believe that the migration was and is a lie. I remember searching for a bridge connecting 5-year-old me to 500 years of lies. I don't want to tell a lie, so I hold and scream it inside the walls of my mouth. Legend goes that the most beautiful lies are the ones that allow us to survive, to insist breath on air, fire on land, love on water. I think my mother is a legend, a nuanced one whom not all should have the privilege of witnessing. I, too, am a legend. Somewhere in there is a lesson of a child who learned to lie to cross. Somewhere in there is a lesson about illegality and fugitivity, being and unbeing, remembering and forgetting. Somewhere in there is a lesson, and right now, I don't want it. Right now, I want the lie. I want a cup of coffee and a donut, a lover and an ex, a friend and a shower, a photo and a blanket, and a country that won't kill me. I don't want to lie, so I will tell you a truth. I am tired and it hurts. The second piece is untitled, and it is in the shape of my lips. Illegal is to poet when the government demands and needs your silence. And illegal is to have survived again and again and still be running. And illegal is to find pleasure on the lips of another alien, and for the first time in your life, calling that living. And now I will be reading a daily prayer. God wears glow-in-the-dark acrylic nails. Her favorite color is obsidian black. She's lactose intolerant and is tired of femme exploitation. God buys gold tooth earrings at Dollar Tree and ain't afraid to wear eyelash extensions for 2 weeks straight, even if the package reads one-time use only. God says hi to everyone the moment she boards public transit, and after she's seated, she speaks loudly into her phone while munching on hot Cheetos. God carries a plastic bag with quarters, pennies, and her passport, because she knows most of her followers ain't shit, and removal proceedings are always already a possibility. God orders $1 fries, $1 cheeseburgers, and $1 drinks at fast food restaurants, because a girl be smart, and a girl needs to live, and sometimes thriving looks like surviving. God checks her eyebrows on her phone every 2 hours and licks her index finger to realign each hair particle before meeting up with the girls. God walks into Metro PCS every 3 days for water damage services because she's too often weeping unto her android the deaths of Black girls. God has hired a personal stylist because she don't know no more how to be simultaneously ready for a funeral, a court hearing, a birthday celebration, an anniversary dinner, and the club all in the same day. God has a Twitter account with 36 followers, and it's aight because she follows 794,000 folk, and they all Black femmes, and the 36 that follow her hold her so that she can hold the rest of the world. And the last poem I will be reading is called A Home Remembered. I know that I am my mother's child. Before moving across the country, I burned her CD collection and saved it on my external hard drive. On days where I too forget how to hold myself, forget that I exist in a body, I pull out the hard drive, I sit with my own stillness and I listen. Each song brings me back to our apartment building in East Boston, Massachusetts. I am 7, recently illegalized by the law. Ama, Noemi, and Candy sit in the living room. Noemi opens a new packet of cigarettes. I am asked to open the windows, and they playfully fight to select the music. It'll be a vallenato. It always is. Our apartment will become South America, will become the Caribbean, will become the Atlantic coast, will become the Pacific coast, will become an island, will become a country. And for the duration of the song, none of us will be displaced. Each one of us will belong to the drum, to the accordion, to the flute, to our feet. In a matter of seconds, we become air. Ama laughs with tears on her eyes as she moves her hips and pretends to dance. Candy grabs my hands and teaches me to move like her people. Tells me that in Colombia, the people live through dance, and the one day we will all have papers, and she will take us to Colombia. These are the women who taught me how to insist on joy. There is no one who can teach you joy like them. With this hard drive, I resurrect joy in my life. I bring an ocean to my room, a country to my room, a home to my room, belonging to my room. Thank you. And that concludes my reading.
That was excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. Hi, my name's Maisha Johnson. My one sentence bio is that I am one 2020 disaster away from running away with the circus. This is a short piece of fiction. It really didn't have to be so complicated. Arika didn't even use measurements. Just a few spoonfuls of shea butter here, a couple squeezes of fresh aloe there, and a splash of distilled water. And there she had it, a homemade moisturizer to keep her knuckles smooth and to guard against ash on her knees. Then some rose water here, followed by a drip of rubbing alcohol and stirred up with a couple drops of eucalyptus oil. And Arika had a body spray to keep the summertime bugs away. It was the politest way she could think of to let the biters know that her skin was not for feasting. Her tinctures and rubs were simple enough, sitting motionless behind the dark amber glass of their small round containers. From across the room, they almost looked solid, like charred stones made smooth by fire. But whenever a friend dipped a finger into one of the bottles, they found only soft, pliable creams and liquids meant to heal dryness and soreness and the thirst for touch. At first, Arika climbed up when her friends asked for her tinctures. She only made them for herself, mostly because she couldn't possibly vouch for how her imprecise recipes would work for other people. Hell, if her hair oil was going to dry out somebody's hair, she'd better make sure she was the only somebody. But she figured there's just something about healing that wants to be shared. And her friends were doing enough finger dipping anyway, to the point where she only half-jokingly teased that they were coming around so often just to use her mixes while they were there. So Arika began handing out the mixes she made, apologizing every time for her amateur hand, making sure people knew that they shouldn't expect much in case she couldn't deliver what they expected. It really wasn't very complicated at all at the start. But then Arika started making wishes. She didn't mean for the mixes and the wishes to go together, but that's just how it happened. With her hands busy with spoons and droppers, her mind wandered into thinking, and it just so happened that a lot of her thinking was wishing. She wished for whatever she was mixing to work, of course, for it to soothe Tony's blisters or smooth Charlene's cracked palms or bring Rhonda and Cicely closer together through a couple's massage. She also wished that she could see the healing happen little by little like she did on her own body. When it came time to hand each jar over, though, she accepted that any change she witnessed would be incremental, and she'd just have to settle for her friends' retelling of their body's experience. That is, until the visions came. First in her dreams, where she saw Tony's blisters shrink down and vanish like setting suns. Then while she was awake, all she had to do was wonder about Rhonda and Cicely, and suddenly she'd see them, their dark skin glistening with massage oil, their soft giggles so starkly present in Arika's room that her face flushed with warmth as if she were intruding on an intimate moment between them. This was her wish come true, to witness the healing. She didn't connect the visions to her wishes, though, until the visions became a lot more specific. There was the time she made a new batch for Charlene, and while she watched the separate oils become one, she wished she could have a puppy to hold, a soft, floppy-eared beagle puppy, to be exact. And just a few hours later, she had a vision of Charlene rubbing the cream into her palms, humming quietly to herself until a beagle puppy suddenly appeared on the bed behind her and wriggled its way onto her lap. Unlike Arika, Charlene was not a dog person. She was certainly not a dog on the bed person, and Arika watched her recoil in disgust from the tiny beast before the vision faded away. The effect was real specific, once again, when she made a tincture for her cousin Charles, wished for a taste of his mama's peach cobbler, and later saw Charles gobbling up the cobbler himself. He didn't know where it had come from, but he knew better than to let Auntie Shirley's cobbler go cold before dipping his spoon into its flaky layers. Arika grew concerned. Sure, there were worse things than warm puppies and cobbler, but the power to conjure could be a dangerous thing. She searched the internet for answers. Was it something about her recipes? She looked up DIY how-tos, but the first several pages of her search yielded only homesteading white girls obsessed with essential oils. Nothing about wishes turned reality. Friends continued to show up for the mixes she'd promised them, and she added more and more disclaimers to her apology. I'm no professional. These are just my random mixtures. Let me know if anything weird happens. Now things were complicated. It'd be one thing to claim credit for Charles's chance to taste his mama's cobbler again, but explaining why Cicely got inexplicably fired after Arika wished for some time off work was a different story. Afraid to wish for anything else, Arika wished for understanding, in answer to the question that her healing practice had become. It was this wish that happened to cross her mind while she finished making an aloe-based lube for Rhonda, which was probably why her vision later burst in showing Rhonda mid-orgasm, and Cicely very confused as Rhonda wrote her and then called out, "It's about your intentions, set your intentions and stop apologizing." And so she did. Instead of her usual disclaimers, Arika began saying, "Here, this will soothe your scars," or "This will quench your thirsty skin," or "This will bring you comfort on 2 quiet nights." And with each new mixture, she'd set an intention for what it would create. And each intention she set became the truth that followed. Thank you.
Oh my God, Maisha. I need to read that. That was amazing. Thank you. So my 7-word bio is Black femmes plus Black literature equals WAP. Okay, so, oh yes, my name is Vanessa Rochelle Lewis. Thank you. Me, my sister, my brother, and about 3 other kids dressed up like 1980s Pan-African Christmas dolls are walking into my homeboy and play cousin Giovanni Lachey's messy-ass bedroom to play video games when what I think must be a miracle happens. Dang, Charlene, Giovanni's best friend and actual cousin Leroy says, "You got Donk, girl. Donk? What's that mean? Are you talking about my new books? Because they are mine and I love them, I say, holding my big box of books close to my chest like they have the power to save the world from climate change and our new president, Ronald Crump. It's December 24th, my favorite day of the year. This is the day that Marcus and Shauna Lachey, Giovanni's parents, me and my siblings' godparents, and my best friends, BFFs since high school, host their annual Christmas Eve pre-Kwanzaa bougie sweater dinner party. Every single Christmas Eve, for as long as I can remember, the Lacheys give me 24 brand new young adult novels published that year by brand new Black authors. 24 books is 2 books per month, Mr. Lachey says each time, peering at me over his round librarian glasses. Make it last, Charlene. Yes, sir, I always respond, and then finish them all by Valentine's Day. But sometimes I can make them last until my birthday in March, when I know I'll get my next set of books. Fiction is sacred to me. My parents like to say I spend too much time reading and not enough time socializing with other children, so they try to limit my literary intake. When I'm in trouble, they outright take my books away from me. The bitches. What they don't understand is that books are my only true, real friends. Reading is the only time I don't feel like I hate the world and like the world hates me. So I cherish these books. I cherish our Christmas Eve pre-Kwanzaa feast, and I cherish Mr. and Mrs. Lachey for getting me enough to gift me with my one true love. On top of the books and the food, I love our annual dinner because outside of church, it's the only time I can hang out with kids my own age who are actually nice to me. Giovanni is the nicest boy I know. If I want to play with him and his friends, he always makes me feel welcome. If I want to crawl up on his bed and read, that's fine as well. But I never thought that Giovanni, through his best cousin Leroy, would usher me into womanhood. What do you mean, Donk? I ask again. He's talking about your butt, loser, my brother Evan replies, who then throws a pillow at Leroy and says, stop talking about my sister's butt, pervert. It ain't my fault your sister suddenly grew a booty and became fine as hell. Charlene, you have a whole ass weekend's worth of ass, Leroy says, smacking his lips like a 40-year-old instead of the 12-and-a-half-year-old I knew him to be. Me and my brother's jaw drops at the same time. I have never been called fine a day in my life. Evan usually has to defend me from insults and name calling, not lecherous pickup lines from prepubescent cuties who've known and ignored me most of my life. I could feel my skin start to get hot the way it usually does when kids say mean things about me, but this time, the fear and anger that normally turns my gut into a mosh pit of hungry, snapping hermit crabs did not show up. This time, I'm assaulted with awkward, horny butterflies flapping their wings all wild-like and flying around in a million different directions. My underarms and foreheads get prickly, and I do something that I can't ever remember doing a day in my life. I giggle and bat my eyelashes like a cute girl. Leroy smiles at me. Ew, Charlene, stop giggling. Leroy, stop smiling. You both look stupid, Evan complains. Shut up, Evan, I say, and run over to Giovanni's mirror so I can see what Leroy sees. And this is when I notice that my body, out of nowhere, suddenly looks very different from the last time I glanced in the mirror. To be fair, gazing at myself in mirrors is not a thing I do regularly. The closest we have to a full-size mirror at home lives in our bathroom. And in order to see anything below the tip of my nose, I have to climb onto the edge of the bathroom wall, stand on my tippy toes, and squint really hard to see my reflection across the room. Totally not worth it. I attend a small private Christian middle school called God's Little Christian Angel Elite Private Christian Middle School, located across the street from Washington High, which is home to Los Angeles' last remaining gangbangers of 2020. No one likes or respects them, but because they haven't demonstrated fear of anything or anyone other than each other, including death, prison, or earthquakes, we're all a little scared of them. To keep us safe, our principal, Mr. Musa, will only allow us to wear uniforms of navy blue linen overalls, white collared shirts, snap-on red bow ties, and black and white Mary Janes to school. My ex-crush, Daniel Condor, once wore sneakers on a field trip day, and Mr. Musa had his mom pick him up before we even completed our morning pledge of allegiance to the American flag, which shocked us all because the only thing that Mr. Musa loved more than a uniform or the Bible was the United States of America. In fact, I'm pretty sure our uniform was inspired by the flag, which I always thought was weird because half of our teachers were Nigerian and the other half was from Belize. I once told Mr. Musa that he worshipped our colonizers, and he called my mom and sent me home like I insulted his firstborn child or our precious uniforms. All that to say, my appearance means nothing to me. I'm a nerd. A happy nerd, a goofy nerd, a weirdo nerd who's maybe starting to feel more horny than anyone ever told me was possible for a brand new, barely teenage girl in middle school, but a nerd nonetheless. And even if it is 2020 and all of my mom's feminist friends talk about intersectionality and rejecting binaries and all this other stuff, nerd does not secretly translate to gymnast willing to risk death by slipping on bathroom tiles and cracking my skull just to confirm that I was cute. To be completely honest, up until 5 years ago, when I accidentally saw the banging things my body was doing to the red velvet Sunday school dress I was wearing, I would have never even thought to question whether anyone other than myself, my mom, my super secret imaginary best friend Fluffy, or my father, when he wasn't trying to convince me to lose weight, would think that I was cute in the first place. In fact, I already knew they wouldn't. Check. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Alan, Maisha, Vanessa. Your words are amazing. My name is Yodassa Williams, and here's my 8-word bio. I'm a storyteller and emotional alchemist of the Black femme experience. So I'm going to start with a poem I wrote recently, less than a few weeks ago, inspired by this pandemic. The universe slipped me a Mickey some months ago, consent not given, yet I've tumbled into a time and space unknown. My powers are down, and around me the pain of others pulse like a wailing drum. I never sleep, yet I woke to an orange sky and death falling around me like a dusty mist. My family cannot hear my cries. To them, I have morphed into a slug beyond repair. But inside, I feel the tingle of wings. And when I close out the madness, I hear a promise that the story is only just beginning. Thank you. And now I'm excited to read a passage from my recently published book. It's called The Goddess Twins. It's an Afro-feminist fantasy. Some of this screen will not show it. It's an Afro-feminist fantasy about identical twins who discover their goddesses when their mother goes missing. So I'm excited to share a passage about one of the sisters with you tonight. And this is about Aurora. Even if I weren't drowning in an ocean of alcohol, I wouldn't be spinning in a wild state of worry over Mother. I know she wouldn't worry over us. I knew it since Arden and I were 7, and we spent a few months living in the Bahamas. My memories of that time are filtered by the bright sheen of sun, sand, and ocean. My mother was performing on a luxury cruise ship. Arden and I practically lived outside in the water. Mother called us beach babies and joked she would send us to be lived with mermaids. We had just learned to swim, and this opened up a huge new universe. While Arden preferred playing in the sand, building sand castles, or digging for the center of the earth, I was enticed to the clear water and undulating waves. One day, as I was swimming in the ocean, I got lost in the feeling of my body gliding so easily in the water, in rhythms of breaststroke and backstroke, and before I knew it, I was out so far I couldn't see the shore in any direction. The ocean floor became a mystery below me. In a panic, I forgot how to swim. I splashed like an injured seal, yelling for Arden and Mother. My mouth filled with salt water, the sun blinding me, my body getting tired and weak. I was going under. And then suddenly, I felt strong arms wrap around me, lift me upward, keeping me afloat. Too exhausted to open my eyes, I clung to the warm, curvy body that moved me swiftly through the water. Mother, I thought. Who else would save me? Who else would hold me with such care? I knew Mommy would save me, was my last thought before I passed out in her arms. When I came to on the sand, Arden was the only one there. She was frantic, shaking me. Aurora, are you okay? Are you okay? I nodded, coughing as I slowly sat up. Where's Mom? I said, my throat burning with seawater. I don't know, but are you sure you're okay? But Mom, I said, she carried me out. No, it was someone, a woman I've never seen before, with long dark hair and skin that looked like midnight. She pulled you to shore and then disappeared back in the water so quickly I couldn't say a word. I'm just glad you're okay. Arden embraced me tightly, and behind her I looked into the ocean, wondering who had rescued me, because it certainly wasn't our mother. When I needed her, she was focused on her romance with the cruise director. Later, Arden and I found her giggling under a canopy with him, and I will never forget how she turned to us and flippantly said, "Oh, you two, you're having fun and staying safe, right?" Then turned right back to snuggling that cruise director without waiting for us to respond, because she didn't actually care if we were all right or not. Neither Arden nor I ever told Mother about the near drowning incident. We just agreed that since I was fine, we would move on. But I've never quite moved on. At that moment, I stopped calling her Celine, anything other than Mother. No mommy or mama or mom. I felt they were too soft, too intimate, too much of a reward. If Celine can't see me and save me when I'm drowning, if she is more concerned with her affairs than her children's lives, then she doesn't get to be Mommy. Thank you so much. This has been such a rewarding opportunity to share our work with you in the midst of this pandemic. We would have loved to, of course, do this in person, but thank you to everyone who joined our reading tonight and us sharing the power of the Black femme spirit from our own specific creations. And just thank you so much. Feel free to follow us each on social media. We're all active and performing writers and storytellers and poets. So we'd love for you to join our journey. But thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Black Girl Magic Files.
Thank you. And to all of our Zoom participants out there, please don't forget to fill out the survey, which will be coming at you in about 1 second. Thank you.